Hi, John Dwyer here, and I want to talk about a favourite pet subject of mine, which normally just makes me go crazy, and that is businesses not collecting data. It's amazing that in the world of Amazon, a huge company that's about to wipe a lot of businesses out, we are still blind to the value of collecting data. It is crazy. You can go into any restaurant in Australia tonight and spend $100, $150, $200, $500 if you like, and 99% of them will never ask for your details. Is that crazy or is that crazy? It's just madness. And the way I look at it is that there's no way in the world you can ever build repetitive trade unless you collect data. And you'll be surprised. I mean, we're not talking just offline, as in restaurants and retail in general, because hardly anyone collects data in that instance. We're talking about online. We're talking that I believe that around about 85–90% of businesses have a website whereby there is no free report or free something to entice people to leave their name and contact details. It's just madness. Even the big sporting codes, the likes of Rugby League and AFL, they'll have 100,000 people to their grand final. They don't know who was there. The ticketing agency does, but not the football codes. Is that nuts? Can you imagine the amount of caps and t-shirts and supporter merchandise they could be selling if they collected that data? It is just absolutely crazy. But you know what? They're not the only ones. Bunnings don't collect any data when you go there. David Jones don't. McDonald's has 1.7 million people come through their restaurants today, and they have no clue who they are. And they're supposed to be a pretty savvy marketer. I don't think so. If I had 1.7 million people coming through my business today, I would have their mother's name and their blood group. When we hold seminars, we make sure that when someone registers for that seminar, and they're normally for business owners to teach them about marketing, we get their name, the type of business they are, we get the turnover, or at least a range of turnover. Are you doing up to $500,000, or doing $500,000 to $1 million, are you doing $1 to $2 million, or whatever it may be. We get essentially the number of employees. We find out their website address, we find out their mobile number, everything we possibly can, so that when I walk on stage in front of them at a seminar, I pretty much know who's in the room. And if you're not collecting data at the moment, it is a major, major cardinal sin. And watch out, there's a mob called Amazon that's coming to get you. And the only way that you can stop them from wiping you out is to collect data and create a relationship with those prospects and all those customers over time. Let's face it, where did Amazon start? Okay, it started with the whole book thing, and when you actually bought a book off them that might have been a Mills and Bourne love story, which of course is my favorite, then they would then send you an email the next day or the day after saying, look, if you like that book, then you might like this book. It's called behavioral marketing. Based on your behavior in terms of spending with them in the first place, they will market to you thereafter. You cannot do that if you're letting all of that data of your prospects and your customers slip through your fingers. So can I just suggest to you, both offline and online, please start collecting data. I'm telling you, we have a client in Melbourne, happens to be an upmarket seafood restaurant. He was spending $500,000 on radio and newspaper advertising. When he came into my world, I said to him, look, in the first month of being part of one of my coaching programs, I'm going to save you that entire $500,000. And he said, yeah, how? I said, because we're going to incentivize your staff, waitresses and waiters, with 50 cents for every name and contact details that they get. And all that happened is that when someone was having a dinner with 4 or 5 friends, it didn't matter who was paying the check, the whole 4 or 5 people would get a little entry form, not text, just a little entry form that said, win a dinner for 10 of your friends at the end of the month at this beautiful restaurant. Just fill in your name, your email, and most importantly, your mobile number, your cell number. And guess what? He's up to 92,000 on his database at the moment, and he never has had to advertise ever again, because guess what happens? Every single afternoon at around about 3 o'clock, he sends out a text message to just a portion of that 90,000 odd that he has on his database. It might be just a 500 of them. And he says to his secretary, I've been there, I've watched it, he says, oh, Cheryl, how many seats of our 180-seat restaurant are full tonight? And she'll look up the tablet, she'll go, oh, look, 80. He goes, well, in that case, we've got another 100 seats to fill. Send out one of JD's text messages, which I've put together a whole suite of text messages for him. And it might say, look, Chef Pierre has decided to put on a special lobster tail dinner for two for just $68 tonight. Would you like to come? Because if you do, then you better get in the next 15 minutes because the offer closes in 15 minutes. They send that text message out to 500 of their 90,000 database, bang, full within 10 minutes. He hasn't had to sponsor the Essendon football team, hasn't had to put stupid ads on the side of buses or the backs of taxis. He just sent out a text message to the database, or a portion of the database, and he fills his restaurant in 10 minutes. He's the only restaurant in the world that's full 100% every single night of the year, except Christmas, because he's not open Christmas night. 364 days a year, 100% full in all the 180 seats that he's got, because all he does is text message a portion of his database every afternoon to do that. That's the power of collecting data. Anyway, enough of my ranting. If you enjoyed the tips that you got from this and you might like to learn more about avalanche lead generation, in other words, generating an avalanche of leads for your business, then you might like to watch my free webinar. And details, well, just click the link below and you'll go through to that webinar. It's not one of those where you have to book 3 days in advance and we annoy you with 1,000 emails to remind you it's coming up. You can watch it right now. If you enjoyed this and you want to watch more of this customer attraction stuff, just click the link below and go through and watch my webinar.